6:30, 6:34. Not super late, not super early. I don't know who else is live, but this is the only time I have to do this. So let's see if this populates and we'll go from there. No one may be able to jump in. They may be elsewhere. I am so translucent. Hello, hello, I have somebody with me. How are you? I've got my dogs coming in here for dog treats. So if you hear the pitter-patter of little feet, that's what it is. I have quite a bit I want to chit-chat this evening. It's probably not going to be a popular opinion, but it's something I think that needs to be talked about. So that may be interesting to see how people respond. I've been trying to upload a freaking video all day, and for some reason I've been having problems with the internet, and I think it's just because of my internet provider. I think it's just my internet provider's having problems. My hair is going crazy. It's been up in sunglasses over my head all day, so it is having a identity crisis, I believe. Okay, we've got 4 in here, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so over the weekend, I was super busy, as you all know, but I did become aware of the drama that's going on with Chris McDonough and the interview room. And I thought, like I always do when I kind of, my senses go, I thought, I need to look into this. I am the queen of research and digging through the mire to, to figure out what's going on. So I began to research. Let me preface this by saying that I believe that the true crime community has space for everyone at the table, that everyone brings a specific skill set or a specific talent to the mix, and that everyone should be welcomed and everyone should be allowed to do their own research and present their own data. That being said, why are we seeing the blow up of all the super hyper emotional people in the true crime world right now on YouTube? Why are the creators having such horrible interactions? As you all know, every time I talk to you all, I tell you question everything. Even things that I tell you question everything. Do your own research. And always, if you're in a position where someone is trying to use your emotions to manipulate you, take a step back and say, why are you trying to do that, rather than give me factual information? Hi, Denise. Why do you want me to latch onto my emotions where I make poor decisions rather than latching onto my logic where I make good decisions? What's going on? So I wanted to look into this. So the first thing I did was go to a page that had recorded Chris McDonough's last couple of videos, because they were fixing to do a video series on him. And I began watching his statements, specifically about the feed that he tried to link as Brian Laundrie. And I very quickly noted, when I tried to look into that, that it was readily apparent that that was not Brian Laundrie. First thing was that feed originated around like 2016. Like, you can trace this specific person back to 2016. And the content in 2016 is very mature content. It is not anything that Brian at that time would have been around 17. It's not anything that a 17-year-old would have contrived or created. And then the interaction between Chris McDonough and the person that had the feed that he thought was Brian Laundrie. Well, you all know, I watched the body cam footage. Brian Laundrie profiles to me as someone who does a portrayal of whoever he needs to be to fly under the radar, be on the down low, and get out without being caught. So it does not really match his MO to be antagonistic, especially if the boy is on the run. If the boy's on the run and hiding, he's not going to give away those tips. But then you have to look at it from the other way of thinking too, and say, if Chris McDonough is following the way he was trained and taught as a police officer, then the first thing he should have done when he saw that Twitter feed and had any inkling or idea that it could have been somebody that's wanted, was contact law enforcement. Give them the information and allow them to investigate and back away. Because if it was him, then that could have been used to locate him and get him in custody. So me as ex-law enforcement, I would be like, keep it on the down low. I'm going to pass this along. If it is something, they'll check it out. If it is him, they'll find him. I'm not going to tip anybody else off, because if people start following him or get out of hand or attacking him, all he's going to do is run and hide again. So if I think this is him, I'm going to leave him alone so that he maintains his contact so that they can find him. And that did not occur. So I was like, would you really shoot the foot of an investigation that's nationwide with millions of people looking at it? No, you wouldn't if you thought that was truly him. So I thought, okay, something feels off here. And you all know I've been very honest from the get-go that there's something about Chris McDonough that does not vibe with me. I think it may be that we were trained differently. He's more old school. I was trained to be a field officer. He's more of an interrogator, a facility person. But you all also know that when he had the domestic violence and sexual assault victims on his show, that I was kind of distraught when the first thing he did was say, this is going to be truthfully and factual. Everything here this evening is going to be truthful and factual. And I took an issue with that, because there's no way that he could climb into that woman's brain and verify the data that she was fixing to spew as her story. All you can say is, I'm giving her a platform to tell her story. Take it however you need to take it. And, you know, and I'm asking her to go to law enforcement and file this. Now, me, if that had been me in that scenario, I would have asked her to go to law enforcement first. And I would have wanted charges or anything, something else going on before I blasted the story. Because the first time that a survivor tells the story, it can trigger a lot of emotion. And if she's going to break down, I want her to break down where there's aid and they can get her into somebody that can help her. Creek Squad, how you doing, Daniel? I'm good. So that didn't really set well with me, and we have to be careful when we give victims a platform, because, you know, when they get a lot of emotion behind them, they can overstep the boundaries that are safe for what they're going through. So y'all know I caught a lot of crap because I wasn't just, you know, latching right onto Chris McDonough, but you have to look at these things logically and rationally. You have to take a step back and not go emotionally. Well, I began looking into his past work, and he was very prominent on the Crow case. And that was a 14-year-old boy that was taken into custody and that was interrogated for 27 hours without the parents knowing he was in police custody. They thought he'd been taken to basically a youth safe house to be monitored because they were going after the potential killer of their daughter. Meanwhile, the police had this idea, speculation, that the young man had done it, and they put him straight into 27 hours of interrogation and basically coerced. I mean, they broke that boy and coerced and got a statement from him, and then it all came about that the young man did not do it. He was exonerated, and the family sued everyone that was in part of the interrogation and won. They won millions and millions of dollars. So on Chris, I went to Instagram because it's one of the last few things he's got that's live. And he had posted 4 days ago, for details and truth on the Crow case, watch the link in the bio. I went to click on the link in the bio. It's no longer active on YouTube. Although you can find the Michael Crow interrogation on YouTube. But what bothered me was he had truth in all caps to see the truth about this story. Well, the truth about the story is in the black and the whites. The truth about the story is that there was an interrogation that went too far, that violated state law, that violated the child's rights, that violated the parental and the custodial rights, and therefore the family sued and won. So something did occur there that was wrong, that was illegal, that was morally and ethically, not on the up and up. So we know that there's an issue back there. But what bothered me even worse was the next day on a radio show, when they were discussing the case, Chris McDonough called himself to stand up for himself. Now, if I'm somebody that has interrogated somebody, know that I've potentially stepped outside of rules, regulations, laws. Come here and get a treat. Come here. Come here. I certainly would shut my mouth and sit back and wait for my lawyer and my attorney to tell me how to proceed, because that is a very serious thing. But after the lawsuit and everything, the first thing he wanted to do was defend himself. Well, for me, I never defend myself, because if you get into a battle to defend yourself, you're constantly going to be defending yourself. You have to let your track record speak for yourself. And the people that are going to dig and want to know stuff, they're going to look at black and white anyway. You're not going to emotionally sway them. They're going to look at black and white, and they're going to make their own mind up, which I tell you all to do all the time. Believe nothing, not even what I'm telling you. Go and research. Pull the information. Don't look at it from an emotional place. Go back and look at it from a logical place. And then make your own mind up. And I certainly want you to make your own mind up about this. I'm just telling you what I found and how it hit me. So the first thing he did was step up and try to prove that he was right, and he tried to sway it, and he was very emotional and very highly strung on the radio call, and very condescending to the people that were on the radio host, and that bothered me, because then I got a link to his Facebook, and he's got a link on his Facebook saying to all of his hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of followers, if you see anyone slandering my name or my career, please report them. Hang on. Just follow me here for a minute. Okay, so this man who found a random profile that he made this mental affiliation that it was Brian Laundrie, with no factual evidence, nothing but pure emotion and speculation, and then began engaging and telling that man, you have a burden of proof to prove who you are. This could have been anyone. It could have even been a minor. I mean, it could have been anyone. He didn't know who this person was. He didn't know him from Adam. But he immediately engaged and began this good cop, bad cop routine, and it's your burden of proof. You have to prove to us, and he was asking his followers to watch this. I'm going to call him out. He can't give me the ID numbers. That man had no responsibility to be accountable to anyone. He was just like you and I had a profile on a social media platform, and all of a sudden became a target. Well, what was Chris just whining about? If you see somebody making me a target, you report him. But you're making this man a target, and you want to attack him, and you want people to help you attack him. I'm sorry, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Normally what you do to others comes back and bites you in your own rear end. So welcome to the real world. It's biting you in your own rear end. So why are we getting him pushing tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people to harass and dox and go to, like, he's had people go to, he's told people and you know, he said that Jamie from Web Sleuths, I believe, was part of a pedo ring, and he got his sub base riled up with that one too. They showed up at Jamie's house with weapons, and now he had his sub base going after this random stranger that could have been anybody. And he got his sub base hyper emotional and hyper fixated, and they just began doing the same thing. But nobody can talk bad about him or harass him or tell him he has a burden or accountability. You report them if that happens to me in my name. I'm going to call crap on that one, buddy. Now, I don't mind Chris. I think he's a master interrogator. I think he has great interview skills. I think he has a great way to link up his questions and get a line of behavior and action that can lead to a lot of knowledge about what someone is not wanting to release, not wanting to divulge, but will if you question them right. But I cannot condone this behavior, because, y'all, what retired cop do you know that will say, yeah, okay, so when you see somebody being an asshole to me, I want you to be 10 times as much an asshole and report them. But if they do that to me, I want you to feel sorry for me and scream that they're harassing me. But no, we need to go after this man because I believe he's somebody that's wanted. I have no proof. I mean, it's maybe, possibly, most likely, could be. No, them adverbs don't go in the same sentence there, buddy. Okay. So I respect this man, but I also respectfully disagree with some of the way he drives the momentum in his show. No good cop, no one that has worked in law enforcement that understands how dangerous emotion, groupthink, and herd mentality is going to get people highly fixated on a specific individual that they have no factual evidence that can prove they're wanted by the FBI, and ruin that person's life and then claim to be the victim. It is so convoluted that no officer that knows the moral and ethical ramifications of that behavior will do that. So why does he do it? The one thing that I can identify is that routinely in his career, and since he began this show, he routinely likes to break the story or divulge some shocking information and keep the curve, keep the likes, keep the momentum, keep the stimulation, and keep the views. Is he willing to sacrifice his subscribers and their emotional stability for views and clicks? Because it seems to me like he is. It seems to me like he's pushing them into a dangerous place mentally, emotionally, and potentially physically. Now, do I agree with like Benny Keys and his behavior? No. I've never seen more adults act less like adults in my entire life. We should all have room at this table to bring our skill set and what we shine at. And then if we don't shine in a certain area, find someone else that does shine in that area. I don't know why we couldn't have had a discussion with him and saying, hey, Bubba, I see you are taking this to a level that seems a little bit unhealthy for your subscribers. How about we put you on interview duty or interrogation duty and we let someone else do social media duty? Have you thought about backing down and not taking this work so personally? Because no matter what you do, if you put yourself in that limelight and in this skill set, you are going to have people mad at you. You're going to have people attacking you. You have to be able to disconnect and compartmentalize and walk away and understand that their anger may be misguided, and putting misguided anger back on them, two wrongs don't make a right. So I'm just concerned that perhaps we're not all looking logically, that we're so, like I'm warning you, this little box is intoxicating. We are also hyper emotional. We get so pulled into the story that we forget that we're crossing lines that should not be crossed. And a lot of the lines he crosses, if he was worried about someone being apprehended and justice being done, he would not have crossed those lines to begin with. So I have concerns. I have grave concerns about some of the momentum or the motivation behind some of the behavior. But I can also state that he does some things super well, and he could shine in that aspect if we could all just learn to work together and not attack each other. But I will say that when I looked at his background, that this seems to be a pattern of behavior where he gets on a case where he's getting a lot of feedback, and he's getting a lot, he's getting known, and he's getting a lot of feedback from people that are revering him and his intelligence. And then he makes a mistake, and he tries to portray behaviors that get him more of that martyrdom feedback than keeping the storyline structured and accountable and ethical. And that bothers me. Okay, let me go through some of these things here. Daniel says, charges was dropped, but it got me kicked out of school. Okay, hang on, I need to go back farther. Had the justice system done me wrong? Oh yeah, the justice system does lots of people wrong. Oh yeah. I had many cops say, whose side are you on? And I would have to go, I'm on the side of Tennessee state law. I have to protect their rights, your rights, my rights, and make sure Tennessee state law is being followed. And it gets to be a struggle at times. But that's why you're trained as an officer to monitor all those things. And I don't see him monitoring all those things. And yeah, and when you get bad charges or you run into a cop that doesn't follow protocol appropriately, doesn't follow the rules and regulations, it does damage. It damages you in any contact you may have with authority for the rest of your life. Yeah, someone said so dangerous what Chris did to someone and he didn't. Yeah, he doesn't get it because to him the chase, he's like a hound on a quarry. The chase is so intoxicating he doesn't understand the harm that's being done in the process. And that's something I think from what I've looked at his career that he does need to work on. He needs to be held accountable during the chase. It doesn't matter how good you think what you're doing may end up being. What are you doing at this moment? If you're breaking a law or doing something that's not ethical at this moment, then it's all for naught because you've shot yourself in the foot. I'm glad the charges were dropped, Daniel. I'm sad that you had to go through that. I've seen so many people go through that. I've had to step up in court and step in and speak up for people that I knew were being done wrong. And I would get the cold shoulder from law enforcement because they thought I was on the other team. Okay, well, I'm on the state law and everyone's rights team. How is that wrong? It's not. It's called being logical and accountable and being a credible officer. Okay, Sweet Bear said, his handling of the Summer Wells case was messed up too. I think the attention and super chat, yeah, okay, some people have a financial qualm there. I don't mind if they're doing something that's taking them energy and time and finances. I don't mind for them to be reimbursed with people that want to send them money. I don't have a problem with that. If they're starting to sell things with Summer's face on it or Summer's, I have a problem with that. That's kind of tacky to me. But again, they're adults. I can't control them. But I will say that I had some issues with the Summer Wells case as well. And I've been super honest from the get-go. I've told you all there's something about him that doesn't vibe with me. And I had kind of thrown it into is probably a training difference. But you know, if you all notice, I never touched the Hunter interview with a 10-foot pole. The only ones I touched were the parents, the adults. Because I don't believe that you should ever interrogate a minor. And if you're police, you only interrogate that minor with the parents or an attorney present. And I just thought he overstepped a lot of boundaries that put that young man in harm's way because he's not been fully educated about his rights. He's not been fully educated about what could happen if he says something just wrong or so in this interview that could get law enforcement going. He doesn't have an attorney beside him. He has his mother, but she's, you know, bless her heart, probably not well versed in the justice system, you know, cloud of turmoil either. And I just thought it was tacky to go and have this interview with this young man. But I also think it's tacky how he adopts their personality and their behaviors and kind of adapts to their living standard when he's there and picks up their mannerisms and the, you know, dap and it. No, just go there and say, I'm going to interview you. I'm going to give you a chance to tell your story. But at the same time, when you tell me your story, I'm going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And if I find anything that, you know, tells me red alert, pay attention, I'm going to call you on it. Be honest with the family. Don't become their best friend and then tear them apart. Be honest with your motive from the get-go. If they really want to tell their story, they'll tell it regardless. And if they don't want to tell it, then don't try to use, you know, we're all the same, I'm here to help. Don't use that, you know, to get their trust and then turn on them. It's tacky. Daniel, you're crazy. You're making me laugh. Oh, Lord. Okay, is it BB said? Belle said, I felt very uncomfortable with that whole nomadic track thing. Yeah, I did too. A Chris fan generally. I am too. He has some skills that I would love to have. And I have some skills that I think potentially he should have. Saw him on Tiffany Marie explaining how he lost his channel. Yeah, and he kind of threw it off as he was being harassed and trolled. He didn't say, I violated YouTube standards by using my channel and my subscriber base to attack and harass someone and put them in potentially in harm's way. He let that one go completely under the radar. Of course, smart people can figure that one out. You think you took the Don Wells thing too far for you? Yeah, he's done so much good. That's what I'm saying. He's done so much good. We don't need to just kick him from the table. We just need to say, hey, this table has some accountability, and we're going to hold you accountable. And we can't have your ego and and your emotions being the most important thing, because they're not. And if you are a true ex-cop with all that, then you should have tougher skin by now. You should have tougher skin by now. Because when people say nasty things about me, I'm like, okay. You have a good vocabulary. That was an inventive word. I'm going to give you credit for that. If they say something really bad, I'm like, it only hurts if you can spell it. I take it as a joke, because I know that is just their defense mechanism and their anger coming at me. And I don't want to do the same to them. So I normally will turn it into a little education about, here's why you feel you have to do this. Educate yourself. And I tell you all the time, don't ever stand up for me. Don't ever think you have to go and stand up for me or attack somebody or step up and step in as a bouncer role for me. Don't ever do that, because the time you spend in this little world here should be positive. It should be something that you enjoy doing. It should be something that adds to the happiness of your day. It shouldn't be something that puts you in more emotional turmoil. That is not what I'm here for. I don't want to put anyone in emotional turmoil. And I'm a big girl. I'm a heifer. You don't have to stand up for me. And I don't want you to engage in negativity because you think you're going to earn bonus points with me. Because those bonus points could cost you a mentally stable afternoon at home with your family. And I'm not for that. Have the mentally stable afternoon at home with your family. Throw me to the dogs. It's okay. I'm used to it. But for me to see someone who had an even longer career in law enforcement that should have tougher skin immediately ask his sub-base to go in attack mode and report. Why? I don't get it. There's some things he does that I think goes beyond what he should do at that moment, because law enforcement is still actively investigating. So him taking certain roles could technically harm the case. It could technically harm what's admissible in court, what comes out in court, how it comes out in court. It could taint the jury pool before we even know it. There are some things he does that I question. But again, I do like the way he interviews. I like the way he interrogates. I like his path and his progression of questioning and the mental pathway it takes and the links between, and how he can start a question here and in 5 more questions have 3 other questions answered that he never asked just by that progression. I love that. The man is very smart. At the same time, he seems to be quite the victim of a little bit of ego and a little bit of drama. And ego and drama and true crime and policing do not go together at all. At all. Yeah, he did a lot of good for the Maya Maletti. Yeah, he donated, he did a lot of good in that case. And yeah, I'm not, this doesn't take away from the good he does. It just says these are things that are questionable that he needs to work on if he's going to be in this format. And he can't progress through life as though he still has a badge and he can, pull that bad cop and interrogate and press routine, because you're just a civilian now, dude. You can't do that. You don't have that badge and that protection anymore. You have to learn to finesse the situation. And you have to learn that people that are subscribing to you are not, like a bouncer service to take the brunt of the attack if you do something that is unethical or morally questionable. You shouldn't look at your subscribers that way. Don't put them out with a task to protect your hind end. Protect your own butt and allow people to enjoy your work, digest your work, learn from your work. But don't make them have to emotionally become victimized by your work. It doesn't, I would never want my subscribers to be unhappy or to go to bed crying because they thought they needed to step in and take care of something that I created, I generated, I started. Yeah, maybe I'm just a completely different breed of person. Maybe that's it. Maybe I just have almost no ego. Maybe I'm just aware of what ego does, and maybe he is not yet. I don't know. But I'm concerned with the momentum and the hate mongering and the fear mongering and the pitchfork and fire vibe that his subscriber base had toward these people, that they had absolutely no factual evidence about who they were and if they were who they said he was. Daniel, yep, a lot of people take plea deals because they can't afford to stay in jail until a trial. So a guilty plea, a plea deal, doesn't always mean that they were guilty. It means they were not in a position to stay in jail until the trial. And you've heard me probably talk about that a couple times too. The justice system is so super nuanced and finessed. And until you've lived in it and steeped in it for a while, you can't understand the toxicity within it as well. Yeah, it does a lot of good things, but it does a lot of bad things too. And it generates a lot of financial stability for the area that it's in, because you rent that courtroom just like you rent a surgical suite. You pay for everybody in there, and you know, you get a misdemeanor charge, you're down for $600 or $700 in court fees immediately, and then you've probably got to pay a county supervisor. You get a criminal charge, felony charge, you're down for a lot more than that, potentially some jail time, and now you're going to have to pay a big time supervision. There's so much to it. And there's so many reasons why people plead guilty and don't wait to go to trial, because it can take up to 2 years to get to trial, and they'll lose everything they have, their families, their homes, their businesses, everything. And so they plead guilty, and they do 2 to 4 years on paper and 5 or 6 years on supervision. You know, they do if they went to jail, it would have been a 2 to 4 year sentence. But if they put it on probation, they may give them a longer sentence to make sure that they're not going to go back into that behavior. And they'll do those sentences so that they can keep their world going. And I saw a lot of people that had they gone to trial, they would have been absolutely innocent. You know, and you have to be aware of that. But you also have to be aware that when you are laying claims on who you think somebody is, you need factual evidence. You need black and white. You need proof. But if you think potentially that someone that you have found on the worldwide interwebs is somebody that's wanted by the FBI, you should shut your mouth, sit on it, call the FBI, and let them figure it out before you interact at all. Because you could potentially cause this person to get away, harm somebody else, hurt somebody else, lose the case on a technicality because of behavior and interactions. I mean, you just have to be super careful. And I see him not putting the emphasis on making sure that he's being ethical and not impeding the case, but more so serving his ego and making sure that he has got momentum behind him. And y'all, before you give your energy to anybody, you need to vet that person extremely well. And that is why I'm hesitant and like to get to know people. And I'm always behind the curve because I don't live on the internet. So when I had some people message me about this, I was like, are you kidding me? And I felt really bad at first. I thought, how dare that somebody get his page shut down because he does so much good. And I was kind of irritated. And then I thought about it and I thought, oh wait, now YouTube, you know, somebody that's doing predominantly a good thing, it would take them quite a bit to shut them down. So I need to look into this. And that's when I started seeing this pattern of behavior. And that's when I started saying, okay, perhaps that's why he did not vibe with me. I am very sensitive to motive. I want to know if you are being malicious in your intent to do anything. I do not like people that have a malicious intent. I do not like people that have a self-serving ego. I'm one of those people that I will take the brunt of something to save someone else from having to experience it because I already know how to handle it. I'm trained to handle it. So let me have the brunt of it and you all walk off unscathed. That's the role I play a lot in this world. So to see someone who is trained to understand how harmful misinformation and emotional toxicity can be, and then feed it for his own gain, it didn't sit well with me. Do I think that YouTube should have shut his page down? No, they probably could have worked something out. At the same time, he did violate the conditions, and so I understand why they did. But y'all, what I don't understand is the toxic swamp that we've created in the true crime. Like, my first week really being on the radar in true crime, I was attacked. I was just randomly attacked with Facebook profiles that just said Facebook user by the time I got the message, emails that I could not respond to that were just created to send me hate. It's just stupid. Why, if you've lived on this earth more than 18 to 21 years and you've learned to interact successfully to become what we call an adult, would you then use your adulthood to act like an idiot child? We grow old so we can act young and stupid. What? It doesn't make sense. We're supposed to mature and learn how to handle these things. And I just want to see people get along, because this community could do so much good if we could all learn to get along. If we could all learn to let people's good spots shine and understand that we have bad spots where we need to allow somebody else to shine in that capacity. Like, y'all, I'm really good at research. I'm really good at research. I like to dig stuff up. I'm not very good at editing or creating a huge dynamic emotional experience here. It's just me talking to y'all. So I know that I shine when I do research and I try to bring education. So that's why I try to focus on it. Or I shine when I try to make you laugh and defrag emotionally, just chill. But there are certain things I couldn't do. I couldn't do an interrogation like he does. I couldn't keep a chat room positive like Sharon does. You know, and we should all look at what we all bring to the table as strengths, and when we have a spot where we're not super strong, pass that on to someone else who is super strong there. And don't think it's well, I have to get power in this area, or they're better than me. No, you have what you shine at, they have what they shine at, and people are going to love you for that. But if you start generating this toxic, hate-filled, you're not going to be on YouTube very long, because people will catch on to that. Bell, I think in his heart, he definitely goes to things with the right mindset. I don't think he's like a malevolent person. I think he gets caught up in the emotion and the chase, and he slips a little bit, and he becomes that kind of arrogant officer that, by God, is going to break the case. And he needs to realize that he's a civilian now, and he needs to crank her down. But I don't think his heart's in the wrong place. I think sometimes he gets ego-driven instead of logic-driven, and he has to think about that. I can't do what he does. I can't do a tenth of the good he's doing. But the one thing I can help him with is help him understand the emotional upheaval he is creating in his subscriber base, and how that is going to bleed back in a toxic karmic response if he doesn't start to generate a little bit more accountability, a little bit more rational and critical thinking skills, a little bit more logic, and a less, a lot less of the emotional vomit. And when people, troll you or call, just let them do it. They will eventually get tired and go away. Put their comment up and go, thank you. Thank you for being a great example of what not to be as a person. And just go on. And don't engage. Minimal engagement. Don't feed the beast. And so don't send your subscribers out like minions to do your handiwork. No. I don't care where you are on the internet. I don't care what they're saying about me. And never stand up for me. It's not your responsibility. It's not your fight. I don't want your emotions to feed into anything that doesn't have to do with your world. Only deal with only pack in your wheelbarrow what belongs to you. Because if you start packing other people's worries, concerns, and emotional well-being, your wheelbarrow is going to be full of crap that doesn't benefit you. And then you're pushing this heavy load through life that does nothing for you, and you have less of an enjoyable life. Only put in your wheelbarrow what belongs to you. And if there's something that belongs to somebody else in that wheelbarrow, pitch that buddy out, because you don't need to pack it around. It's not your weight to carry. And I just feel like he put a lot of weight on his viewers to be a little minion army, and it became super toxic super fast. And I'm sure there are 500 different ways to look at this. This is just the way that my eyes and my heart and my critical thinking look at this. He does jump to conclusions. Sweet Bear says his questioning is good, but he does jump to conclusions. He does. Like, a chicken on a June bug. Whoop, he's there. And he don't let go. He's like a snapping turtle. It's going to have to thunder first. those are not good traits for someone who is of an investigative forum. You have to legit leave all the darts on the wall with every possibility and try to backtrack. You can't make an assumption and jump. And that's not how cases are solved. It may be how he creates a lot of questioning to see if it's, you know, a correlation. But that's not how cases are solved. High emotions, low intelligence. That's a good one. That's probably the best way to say what I try to preach all the time. Thank you for that, Denise. That's great. I didn't know Don was going to be on the behavior panel. I really like Scott Rouse. He's a local guy. He's from over toward Oak Ridge. He's a really nice guy. I've actually spoken with him before. If I feel good Thursday, I may try to watch it. Now, I had a completely different reading of Brian Laundrie than the behavior panel last time. So I thought that was very interesting because normally I normally pick up on the same things the behavior panel does. But this time I did not. Yeah, thousands of people assumed something and it caused a whole big issue. And then the limelight goes off of who's missing, who needs to be apprehended, or who's in danger. And it goes on to egos and bravado and nothing that is going to do any good for anybody. Y'all know me. If I have something important to tell you, I'll come on here looking like crap. Because what I have to tell you is more important than how you perceive me or your feedback to me. What I have to tell you is the important thing. When you start seeing people, how they present the information, the words they choose, the emotions they bring is more important than what they have to say, you need to start paying attention to that. Buckshot, you're absolutely right. That's why there's so many convictions, because people take the plea instead of waiting for trial, because they can't wait for trial, because it may be, you have the right to a speedy trial, but it may take up to 2 years. And if you have a violent or a specific level of crime, then you're gonna be denied bail and you're gonna be in custody until the trial. And a lot of people can't do that emotionally or financially. Oh, Daniel, let me tell you what, I have seen some love triangles and worse. And I wonder how these people that have to go through years of education and training, years of what you would think would be self-examination, then again, they can then get power and immediately just go toxic. And I'm like, did you not learn anything through 8 years of school? All these internships, all this time on the job? Do you not understand that the rules and the laws that you subject upon other people in the courtroom can also be applied to you? And I sit here and I'm like, how can you get so brave as to just completely think the law that you push and that you hold others accountable to is not going to hold you accountable one day? Well, you need to have that on your brain at all times, because if you have a job where you work with the law, you will be crucified if they find you in violation of that law. And I don't know why people don't understand that. So it was Chris McDonough in the interview room. He got his interview room channel shut down by YouTube because his sub base went on that nomadic track profile and basically harassed and attacked and threatened him. Now, Daniel, don't be rounding up anybody. No, don't you do that. We don't create mob mentality around here. Don't you put my cornbread eaters in trouble. Spread knowledge and education and not fear and emotional motivation. Hi, ICU nurse. How are you doing today? Yeah, he did it to himself. He did. I mean, they held him accountable for his behavior and the behavior that he created and incited. So he absolutely did it to himself. So, you know, he cannot try to push this off on someone else. You know, he's going to, if he comes back, he's going to have to make sure he doesn't go there again. Decisions come from principles. They come from beliefs. They come from training and education, and basically it comes from growth and knowing where we fall in the social construct, the social dynamic of everything, and holding ourselves accountable as we hold others accountable. So yeah, you're right. Feelings are not facts. Emotions are not laws, and we have to make sure we understand that. He says you're a smart and fair-minded person. I try. I really try. I've met so many people that have done years and years and years in custody that changed their life and came out, that I know change occurs. I know that anybody, as long as they're breathing, can become a better person. So no one is ever in my world down and out. There's always an option for a comeback. But I have to, at the same time, that critical eye that I held on those people that broke the law, I have to hold that critical eye on the people that are supposed to uphold the law. Because their role is sometimes 10 times as important, because they have to be a role model. And if they role model, using group think and herd mentality to attack, then I have to go, no, that's not an appropriate thing to do. I don't know if you took down, I don't know if you took down the video of Jamie, but that was a big cluster, wasn't it? I'm telling you, that's a whoo, buddy. Danny. Oh my goodness. I'm not patrolling. I'm like the elephant in Tarzan. Is this water sanitary? I'm always trying to check on everything else. Oh Lord. I've got someone in here, 10-9. Hey, 10-9. Asking me what my opinion of Dawn was and what do I think happened to Summer. This is just pure speculation. But the parents have more information than they've let out. From the knowledge that he was still had his little pitties in the water because he still had substance abusers on his land, camping on his land. He was still someone in that dynamic, in that culture, in that social circle. That tells me he was not completely out of the bad life. And that puts your children in harm's way. When you are into drugs or you're facilitated, or you're facilitating anything for gangs or drug runners or anything like that, cartels, then your children are your biggest liability. And you have to think about that. But we also see a lot of pattern behavior in Dawn Wells and the males of that family. So potentially, to me, I think something happened that they had to cover up, whether it was an accident or it was continued SA or who knows, but they have more information than they're giving. And I fully, sadly, believe that the poor little girl has either been trafficked or is deceased and been hid. And that's just complete speculation on my behalf, and I could be completely wrong, and if she shows up tomorrow, I will be absolutely glad to be wrong, and I'll come on here and go, get him, and I was wrong, and I'm so glad I'm wrong. But I don't have a very good gut feeling about that, and I still feel that Dawn is trying to hold the veil and play two roles, play two, heed two masters, and you can't do that. 10-9 asked if I was just a parole officer, do I have other experience? I did probation and parole. I did sex offender supervision, and I did interstate compact supervision. I also taught cognitive behavioral therapy to the violent and aggressive men. I taught anger management, and then I also did addiction counseling, and then I did addiction counseling and trauma counseling for children that had felonies, had criminal issues. That were in state's custody, and then I also worked in a wilderness boot camp for kids that they didn't want to go to prison, so they put them in a boot camp and had to do their time in a boot camp. I was a counselor at that boot camp. So I've always done something in corrections or corrections, counseling, social work, or and I've always worked with the violent demographic predominantly. Don is an emotional manipulator, and he loves to will what he thinks. He thinks he holds people at emotional hostage, and he thinks he can pull their power and use it. And I'm like, Don, honey, wake up. What's up, hillbilly? What's up? Yeah, that's a good point. YouTube doesn't just terminate a channel because, you know, of trolls and stuff. There's something happened, and it was most likely, what I believe, was the verbal attacks from his sub base, and being told that they were, you know, sent over there, and that he was saying, hold them accountable, go look, go watch. And then what blows my mind is just 4 days ago on another social media app, he says, if you see somebody, you know, bad mouthing me or my, you know, work, report them and let me know. How about don't do anything? Because it's a big bunch of hogwash. Just do your job, give your skill and your talent to the consumers that will accept it, and the ones that don't want it, just blinders. Put your blinders on, because you're not preaching to them anyway. You're giving your good vibes to the people that want to have good vibes. And when you have people coming that want bad vibes, if you engage in bad vibes, you create bad vibes. I really try to stay positive. Even when I get pissed 10 ways to Sunday, I will try to make it funny. I will try to make it funny, because I don't want you all to go, ugh, because I know that that is not good for you. It's not good for me. Why would I want you to do it? I know it's not good for you if it's not good for me. So why would I want to peddle that behavior when I don't want to have that behavior myself? Doesn't make sense. I don't want anyone to think that their time they spend here is toxic. When you are, like, we're in a pandemic. This is engaging. You should do positive engaging through here. Kazi, what are you doing? Kazi, crackhead Kazi is into something. You just need to be good. You just need to be good. Let's look at a few more of this. I had to do liaison work with the feds a few times, and I had to go into federal court a couple of times to testify. But I was kind of like, if I was in a case that happened to cross into their worlds, then I would get sucked in and have to deal with it. But predominantly, no. I was at a state level, and I was not misdemeanor. I did pure criminal. But sometimes I would have somebody that would be on 2 levels of supervision, and the judge would just put them on with us and tell us to monitor both. Probation and parole officers get taken advantage of. So I worked under the 8th district in my state, and then with the parole board, I had about 5 counties that I supervised, and I had 3 counties that I taught the cognitive behavioral therapy in. So I was a jack of all trades, but it was because of my education. They had to put me in so many different positions. Because they'll take any 4-year degree to be a probation or parole officer, but if you know, are really, you know, have the education that is finessed you to be good at what they need done, they will milk you until you're dry. And let me tell you, I was barely moving by the end of it. They had milked me until I was dry. Okay, you said removing the water hole video. You may have to explain that to me. No, I don't want to bash Chris. Like I said, he's got skills that I don't have, that I completely respect and that I wish I had, because I'm not a good interrogator. I'm not a good interviewer. I'm a good researcher. I'm a good background, and I link up really well with people and personalities. And can say, you know, stuff that sometimes is very hard to hear. I can say it in a way that they can hear it and process it. But I'm not a good interrogator. So he has skills that we need. Like, we need them in this little true crime community. We need his skills. We need his expertise. We don't need the ego and we don't need the drama, but we absolutely need his expertise here. And we just have to help him find that happy balance, and help him understand that this, you know, trying to drive the subs into this horde of emotional manipulation that you can spew on other people is not, it's not going to be beneficial on this format. And he's going to have to find a different way to deal with people that say negative things about him, because he can't feed them all out and go attack and have people go attack and then stand up and, but this is the truth, and just let it go. If people are going to say nasty things, just focus on what's good, what's going great for you, the people that are learning from you, and keep it going positive and forward. Don't worry about all that. Just keep going, because you're going to have negativity anywhere. Anywhere that you have more than 3 people, you're going to have negativity, because there's going to be a power triangle. There's going to be a power pull. And you just have to learn to not focus on that. And I don't know why, at his age and at the level of expertise that he has, why he continues to get stuck in that. Because if I'm dealing with missing children or SA victims, or I'm helping people heal, I don't care what you call me. I'm doing some good crap. You can hate me 10 ways to Sunday. That's fine. You go right ahead. You may have every reason you want to. But I'm doing good stuff, so I'm going to focus on the good stuff I'm doing. And I'm not going to pull myself down from a positive mentality to go into a negative to attack. To me, it's not worth it. That's not where I want my energy to go. And it's not what I want my viewers. Like, if you see somebody saying something nasty about me, and I've told you, never think you have to stand up for me. Never. It's not your position to do so. It's, you know, I'll handle it if I need to handle it. You spend your time being positive and doing fun things on here, things that, you know, emotionally benefit you. But I can't understand why. I don't know. It just seems like we get down to a place where it's just ego, and I'm like, ego at that age should be well in hand and almost dead. Hey, don't knock yourself. I've met some fine people that were parolees. One of the finest men I ever met spent over 20 years in custody in Kentucky for murder. And he came out and did a 180. And I'm here to tell you, he had the best impact on his community. He was one of the best hearted individuals. He really changed. And he taught me more about life than anyone else I've known. I met really great people. They had horrible decision-making skills. We had to work on that. But they had good hearts, just bad decision-making skills. But you can fix those things. So I never counted anyone out. I met some awesome people. I still keep in contact with a lot of my old parolees. They will call when they have a baby born, or they reach a milestone, they buy a house, they get a new job. Had one call me a couple weeks ago. He bought a new Harley, and he just wanted to let me know he was doing good. And it's like, great, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. And they want me to be part of that happiness, because they think in some way I helped create it. And I'm like, I did not. All I did was say, here's the road. Stay on the road. Don't get off the road. Stay on the road. Don't go in the ditch. Go in the ditch. I gotta handle it. They did all the work. And I said, you deserve all the credit. And I love talking to them. I met some really great people. Yeah, they'd been in prison, but they were really great people. Bad decision skills. Bad decision-making skills. Those can be fixed. I can't keep, like, the Jody Susan, I can't keep all these people straight, because it became such a whirlwind of emotions that I just kind of stopped, because if it wasn't helping the trajectory of the case, I just kind of let it go. If it's not going to be something that I can use to fill in the blanks to get further down with my investigation in my brain, I'm not going to use it. I just kind of check out. Because I don't like to be on emotional roller coasters at all. I'm off the ride. Yeah, and my thing is that such a dangerous thing when you have that many people that obviously, you know, from a past experience, they will physically go to somebody's house and create danger. Then to do it again, I mean, you know, context clues. You behaved in my county. Yeah, they moved me a lot, so potentially you could have misbehaved somewhere I was. I just never saw you. Oh, Lord. You know, somebody said, good thing church never asked us to report anyone with their channel. Yeah. He doesn't, you know, if he thinks he needs to address somebody, he goes and he addresses it. Nobody has to worry. He's going to stand up for himself. I will say that I'm afraid that he was scared off from the true crime community with everybody taking his generosity and running with it and creating rumors. And I tried to squash him so that he would not be like deer in the headlights, but I think it was too late. I think it freaked him out. He thought he was joining a great, kind, gracious community, and all of a sudden they just wanted his billfold, and he was like, peace, I'm out. And I feel sad. I want him to still want to bring light to this because he has such a huge... He has such a huge consumer base. They could just spread it all across the nation. You know, any information could spread like wildfire. And I'm scared that we have scared him away from doing that. And we kind of shoot ourselves in our own foot in the true crime community when we do this little petty back and forth between creators, or we run with gossip and rumors before we verify. It's like I wanted to go, before I did this video, I went on a 2.5-day research bender because I wasn't going to speak until I knew what I was going to speak about and how I felt about it. And you don't have to be hot or cold. I'm conflicted. He still has great benefit for what we're doing here. He has more benefit than me, more benefit than probably 95% of us. But what about him being in this scenario, in this little world here, is creating the drama that we've seen amp up in the last little bit. And we need to fix that. Because we don't need to do this every 3 or 4 weeks, because it completely takes away from the cases and the people that should be being looked for and being discussed. And it puts a bad taste in other people's mouth when they come into the true crime community and they start to pay attention to cases, and then they get caught up in this pettiness. They're like, ooh, no. That could have been somebody that had seen something that, if they had watched 2 or 3 videos, might have had something they could have reported to FBI. But because they got on here and they saw the distasteful behavior and the gossip and the rumor and the attacks and the pettiness, they went, I don't want no part of it. And that could have been somebody that could have benefited someone in need. And we ruined it. Are we doing that again here? Are we doing that again with keeping the focus on pettiness and ego rather than the task at hand, which is finding these people and helping families find closure? You know, I had people, how in the world do you say that name? Humanimal? That's cute. Said, I can see how you were great in that role, very smart but thoughtful with it. I never met anyone that I did not look at and realize that they were loved by somebody somewhere. And that could have been somebody that I loved in the same predicament, and how would I want my loved one to be treated? And you can be respectful, and you can say things that are really sharp that need to be said, that need to register, but you can say it in a way that creates thought rather than an emotional response. And so that was always my strong suit, was saying, we need to do some work here. We all need to do work. I need to do work too. You need to do work. We all got to do work. This specifically is what you need to work on, though. And then I would share that with them, and they would be like, yeah, no, I understand, I get that. Now, if they'd come in and I'd been like, listen, I know who you think you are, but you're going to have to do this. And if you don't do this, I'm putting you back in that pen. So you better do this in the next 3 weeks, or you just might as well get ready to see the pro board, right? Now, that would have created that whole stubborn, not doing a daggum thing, you done pissed me off mentality. But because I come in and I let him know, hey, I get it. We all don't make great decisions. We all struggle with certain things. I struggle with some things as well. But I'm here to tell you that we're going to have to get over this hump, because this is the big thing in your world right now. And if you want to work on the other things, we got to tackle this one right now. And they'll be like, okay, yeah, no, I know I need to do it. And I would keep them from going into that mule, stubborn jackbutt mentality where they just dug their heels in and said, no, I refuse to go forward anymore. And it's just the way that you relate to people. It's just the way you relate to people. So I would like to see Mr. McDonough, if he listens to this. I'm sure he won't. I don't even register on people's worlds, and that's okay. But if he does listen to me, the one thing I would like to say is I would like to see you look at people that have a negative statement or like to troll you. Just look at them as people that have got anger and resentment built up inside of themselves, and they just have to throw it somewhere. If it didn't land on you, it was going to land on somebody else. look at that and say, hey, maybe I saved 20 different souls from having to deal with that toxicity today, so I'll take it. I'll take it and I'll sit it over here and I'll go, I know that wasn't meant to me. It was just meant because they're having a bad day and they had to throw it somewhere. I'm going to put it over here and at least it hit me instead of someone else that couldn't handle it. And don't go, how dare you? I did this, this, and this. I did this, this, and this. I can do this, this, and this. And if you see somebody say this about me, you need to tell me, because no. When people get defensive and they react and they start pushing that anger and that drama, it's because they're scared. They're in a fear state. They have nothing to add to the scenario that's positive. They're just throwing anything at you to create a fuzz film so that they can get the heck out of Dodge and leave you in turmoil. And you diffuse the situation by understanding what they're doing and choosing not to take that turmoil, but set it aside and say, you know, I'll absorb it and I'll set it over here so that nobody else has to absorb it. And you just get your butt out of here because I'm not going to give you my energy. And I would like to see him learn to do that. There will always be negativity. There will always be people that throw their crap at others because they don't want to handle it themselves. Just let them throw it. Dodge it. Put it in a pile and use it to grow something pretty. You don't have to use that to create something else that stinks. And in this little cluster, people are highly emotional because they don't think they have to be held accountable. That's why I hold myself super accountable. Because if I don't hold myself accountable, then when somebody does something nasty, I can't role model and say, okay, well, when something happens, you know, be the bigger person. Do, you know, think of kindness first. Make a positive decision. If I react and I role model that behavior, then you all are going to do that too. I hold myself accountable because you all are here to either spend time with me because you identify with me, or to learn, or to put wrinkles in your brain, or to have a different perspective. But I don't want to teach you negative behaviors. I don't want you to learn toxic traits. So I'm super accountable when I'm here. And the other night when I was not in the best of minds and I was tired and I was frustrated, I said, I'm not going to be the most graceful and gracious form of myself. So be aware. I will always try to let you know when that's going to occur. But it's because your perception of me is going to affect you somehow. It's up to me to try to make it a positive one. Because what I am feeding and you are absorbing is it's going to generate something. I want it to be positive. Hi, Samantha. Oh, this is don't register. No, say that you registered in Church's World. I love my Creek Squad crew. I love the Creek Squatters. They are great people. Salt of the earth. I adore Ryan. We just kind of fell into each other, and I think I had a perspective that he needed to focus on rather than focusing on his own anger and animosity. And that's what I'm good at, so that's what I'm trying to do. Now I'm gonna get backlash for this, because even though I've said that he, you know, Chris McDonough has great skills and does great work, and this doesn't take away from the things he's done, but he has things he needs to work on, I'm going to be attacked. Because when people put people up on this little, you know, pedestals, they don't want anybody to say anything negative about them, because then they feel it's negative on them too. So I'm going to get backlash about this, and I want you all to be very careful not to feed any energy to anyone trying to backlash me. Let them throw their vitriol. We'll put it in a nice little pile and grow sunflowers next year. It's okay. Don't try to engage with them. If they say something that is like, oh, that would be a great lesson, I'll use it and turn it into a learning experience. It's okay. But for me, I don't want you all to ever use your emotions to have to protect my emotions. But no, we don't want to all get caught up in that. You take care of you, I'll take care of me, and when you come here to learn something positive and interact positively, and if somebody's being hateful or negative, just let it go. Because I don't want you to be steeped in negativity here. Just ignore it. Don't even look at it. Just let it go. And if we need to use it as an educational tool, I'll use it as a funny, and we'll laugh about it. But we're not going to go ego, toxic, hate, get the pitchforks out and lots of fires. We're not going to do that here. You're here to You have done a lot more typing. I've enjoyed seeing your name pop up, and that's an interesting name, by the way. And I'm here to listen and learn too. So when you all give me feedback, you all sometimes make me think in a completely separate way, and I learn a lot. So y'all help me learn too. Y'all, keep shaping my mentality and how I look at these things. So y'all are doing a lot for me too. This is not a one-way street. This is a two-way street. And that's why it's so important to keep it positive. You are not a basket case. You're not a basket case. You just have energy going in a lot of directions. And you need to streamline your energy, outlet. And that's completely doable. And if you need help, Daniel, doing that, you can Instagram me at IzzbyWaters, IZZBY Waters, or you can email me at watersworkload@gmail.com. I can help you do that. So if you want help, yell at me. I'll help you do that. In order to learn, one must be humble. Yeah. Because education is all about restructuring, reformatting, breaking down what you thought you knew and adding to it so you can go higher with your knowledge. And if you can't break down, you can't grow. Anytime, Daniel. Yeah, if you're struggling in any way, email me, message me on Instagram, get hold of me somehow. I would much rather you absolutely track me down for help than to do something that you feel might be negative. So bug me. Please bug me, and I will respond. I actually have been having a really good email conversation with someone else, and it's always fun because y'all think you have these huge problems, but once we start talking, you all have resolved the problem. You just haven't convinced yourself of your resolution. But you've already resolved the problem. You've just not convinced yourself. Sometimes it's just about saying, hey, open your eyes and look at what you're doing. You're doing some good things. Just be aware of the good things too. The bad things about us are so much easier to believe, right? But the good things, it seems like it's harder to swallow sometimes, and we sometimes need help. And that's why I'm 100 times more about positive than negative. Because you can make a much better shift in society and the world with positivity than negativity. So that's what I wanted to come on and say. And we're reminding each other. You constantly have to have positive feedback and reminders. And there are days, like I have days where I am not conducive to society and I know not to go live. I have those days. And I have days like the other day when I was really frustrated because of the rumor mill and the gossip that it blew my mind when you have somebody that states it right out of their own, and they just still want to spread lies and rumors. It frustrated me. And I had to remind myself, let it go. I'm not going to be able to reach that person. They are locked in there. I'm not going to be able to reach that person, but I might be able to reach 999 more. And so I need to stay on my positive trajectory. And if they're going to try to bait me into negativity, I don't need to go there. And I struggle with it sometimes too. I have to constantly remind myself. So I know it's difficult, but I also know it's something that needs to be done. Especially because just since I've been in this little community on YouTube, I've seen it have so many issues and so much hate. And I'm like, we're all rooting for the same side, right? We're all trying to do the same thing. Why do we hate each other? We should be linked together and using all of our positive skills to, for betterment. And if somebody has a gap in a certain skill set, that's where somebody else comes in and fills in, and we become stronger together than we are separately. So we absolutely need Chris McDonald on this format. We absolutely need him on all social media outlets. We need his interrogation skills. We need his interview skills. We need his brain. We need to slow down the ego, slow down the manipulation of the subscribers, and make sure that we're not more concerned with how we feel about the people visiting our page than how we feel about the people visiting the page being able to help us solve a case. I want the focus to be on what we're doing and not on me being butthurt or another person being butthurt. That should not even register because we're dealing with people that have lost loved ones. There are so many people that think they've seen Brian Laundrie, and I still think that I don't think he's in Florida. I think that is just a ruse. To me, it's just too easy of an answer. It's too just in your face. Why would he stay that close? He would want to put as much space, you know, geographically between him and who's after him as possible. And he would want to go to land that is hardier. You could hide in easier. It's harder for people to track him in. My dogs are fighting. And it's more difficult for him to be found. And so it made sense to me for him to go up into the Smokies, into the edge of North Carolina or Tennessee, and to hide in the Appalachian Mountains or somewhere, run parallel to the Appalachian Trail, follow the trail to move north, but stay in that little honey hole where it's warm enough in the winter he can stay alive, but he's got enough resources he can take care of himself. Now, Dog the Bounty Hunter said he was a 6. I don't know. I give him a 4 on a good day. I don't think the boy has the skills he thinks he has. I think he's just been super lucky and he's got a lot of help, and that's why he's being hid. Because I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. There's no nice way to say it. I don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed, because if he was, he would have been able to have had a relationship without the drama that we have seen. Boys, I'm going to spank you both. Both of you are going to get a timeout. My dogs are being horrible. Yeah, I don't like drama. Daniel, I don't either. So when people start doing drama, I go, I'll see you later. I'll be over here. And then when this happens, I go, okay, no, I've got to get the bottom. I've got to research. I've got to go and look. And I do see a pattern of behavior where he does focus very much on the other's perception of him. I give a rat's hind end. You're allowed to have your opinion and your perception of me, and it's probably, some people don't have a good one, and that it's because it's theirs to have. And if they want to let their perception be dictated by, you know, 1 5-minute video rather than a couple 3 videos to get a better guesstimate on me, I can't change that. That's their right to do that. You don't have to like me. You don't have to be positive toward me. You know, but how I react is within my control. And I'm certainly not going to use you all so that I can react more viciously and have, you know, bigger pull. I don't need to swing a bigger stick. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help people that have had true crime issues and are trying to learn the psychology behind it and look at things in a different way. Oh, they have boats in a yacht. He could be sailing. God knows where he is. I mean, he legitimately could be anywhere. I mean, they have put the confusion pathwork down to where he could have gone in any direction, and all of them are viable. So the family is obviously smart enough to create a distraction and to create confusion. But now, is he smart enough to use that appropriately? And that's where I kind of lose faith on Brian, bless his heart, because he didn't even know what personality project to the cops. He was just trying to just head down and tuck your tail and show your belly and lick your lips and chew and show you submissive. He was not manipulating them, you know, as much as he was just trying to show them what they wanted to see and get out of the scenario. So I don't think he's really an assertive decision maker. I think he's probably being told what to do and getting a lot of help. I mean, he didn't want to drink bottled water. Well, you know, when you're living in the woods, you do a lot of harm to nature just to live. You know, you consume a lot, you know, you ruin a lot, you know, and I don't think he has the skills. Like, if he doesn't have a pre-packed picnic basket and a video camera, what really has he learned to do in nature? I mean, I've not seen anything impressive. He can go barefoot. Well, that's, my feet are callous too. Woohoo! I'm old. But I don't see that he has a skill set to draw on. You know, he's going to be able to stay in the woods for any huge amount of time. And I think that's why we're starting to see people report seeing him. Now, yeah, some of them could be false, but can they all be false? Probably not. Somebody's probably telling the truth. They did see him. But the sad thing is we don't know which route to take to follow. No, I didn't know that about that artist. Boys, I'm gonna spank. You know, if that was my son that came home and without the girlfriend, I'd have been like, grabbed him by the ear. What the crap are you doing? Where is she? What did you do? Buddy, your hind end ain't gonna hold shucks. You sit down, you tell me everything right now. I'm calling the cops. I would have put my child in custody. It boggles my mind because I'm looking at my child and thinking if he did something wrong, if there's a 1% possibility my child did something wrong, I'm going to put him where he can't make that 1% stupid chance, happen again. And I would have put him in protective custody because I know that's the best place for him to be while there's questions circling. And so for me, it's like, why did the parents do that? And my email is, I'm fixing to spank. Go. They're playing good today, but they're being a booger. My email is watersworkload@gmail.com. watersworkload@gmail.com. Yeah, anger and fighting and yeah, that's that quick decision. It's taking a step back and processing everything and finding a better path is definitely the strongest thing to do and the hardest thing to do. I would have broke my child's leg so he couldn't run away. I'm one of those. I'm one of those. Like when my son started dating his who is now his wife. Here, boys, here, get a treat, and then go leave me alone. Get a treat. Go leave me alone. Oscar, go. When my son began dating his wife, and they started dating, I sat him down and I said, listen, you are now in a position to have to be aware of someone else's mental, emotional, physical well-being. If you do something that is unbecoming to a young man that I've raised in this positive, respectful manner, then you'll have a problem with me. If you are ever inappropriate to that young lady, you will have a problem with me. And when they got married, I took them both aside and I said, listen, marriage is a commitment. It's hard work. You have to dedicate to each other every day. Even on the bad days, you're going to find something to love about that person. I said, it's hard. I said, so be prepared for hardships right now. Make a plan for when the hardships occur. Make those plans in good times because you're not going to think straight in bad times. And I said, I'm going to tell you both right now, if you ever get to the point where you put hands on each other, I will put you both in custody. And I will let the court sift it out. And because I grew up in a lot of domestic violence, and I absolutely cannot stand when people go right for anger and physical violence. It's stupid. It's the worst decision you could ever make. It's going to hurt 10 times more people. I'm glad you're playing, but you're driving me nuts. You're driving me nuts. But I told her, I said, and if he ever puts his hands on you and you're scared to tell somebody, I said, you tell me. I said, because I will protect you. And I said, we will go get him and make him accountable. And my son, and you could ask my son. Matter of fact, if I can get him here to do the video, I'll ask him live. What would ever happen to you if you put your hands on your wife and your mother found out? And he will answer. And I bet y'all know what that answer would be. Yeah, if you have good parents that hold you accountable, then you learn to hold yourself accountable, and you go into the world and you hold yourself accountable, and you expect other people to hold themselves accountable. But the thing is even when other people don't, you still know how to hold yourself accountable. So at least half of the scenario is positive. And we need more positive people. Absolutely need more positive people. So I'm not happy that his channel was shut down because he does have experience and intelligence that we need. He has skills that we need. He has skills that far surpass anyone else that uses those skills on this social media platform. So I want to see him back. I want to see him doing what he does best. I want to see him shining the light with those interrogation skills and those interviews, shining the light on the inconsistencies in the story and showing us the little flaws in their story. Hey, I'm a spank. I'm fixing to have to kennel somebody for a nap. But I also want him to come back and understand that his subscriber base are people that should come here to interact positively and that shouldn't follow him on these big goose egg hunts and shouldn't just take his word, as fact. They should always question him and that he shouldn't try to emotionally manipulate them to go after someone else or to swallow exactly what he's thinking and act exactly like him. That's not how we generate critical thinking, and we look at things logically and rationally. This is the biggest play date they've ever had. They're driving me nuts. So I think this is going to be a great time for him to reflect, but I absolutely want him to be back. I don't want anyone to be shut down from this outlet, but he also needs to reflect on what potentially happened and make a plan so it doesn't happen again. Yeah, he needed to shut down while, yeah, he definitely needed some time to chill to process this. And I hope he processes it well. And I hope he comes back and he's more focused to stay positive, because we absolutely need him. But I will say that when I did my research, I was a little bit let down that I saw such a negative pattern of behavior. And I hope that stops now. Yeah, I've got a UFC match. Yeah, I've got a 18-pound pug and a 9-pound Yorkie just going at it. And they normally don't play this well. Watch this. Come here, Oscar. Jump. Oh gosh, Oscar. Come here. Up, Oscar. There. Come here. Free stroke out on me. Come here and say hi. This is Oscar. See, I'm old. I'm 8, and that little baby's chasing me. Say, goodness, Mama. Well, and someone said Chris will not change. Because the pattern does expand over so many decades, it does concern me as well. But because he has made this mental and physical change to YouTube, I'm hoping he's willing to also make another change. Because he has to adapt to this platform. He's not a badge carrying Popo anymore. He's just a civilian, and he's got to learn to navigate those waters. Yeah, Oscar is he's too fat to be being chased by a 6-month-old pup. Come here, Cuckoo. Come on. Can you get up here? Come here, Mommy help. You don't want Mommy help? Okay. Because he needs a nap, he turns into evil when he needs a nap. He's like a walking zombie. My Yorkie will tear up paper towels. If I leave a paper towel roll anywhere he can pull it off the counter, it's tore up. It looks like a bomb went off, and I'm cleaning for 2 hours. So I understand completely. Kazi does not want to be picked up because he knows he's sleepy, and he knows if I get my hands on him, he has to go kennel for a nap. So I'm going to have to go and separate. Woo! They're jumping on me. I'm going to have to go and separate them and put one down for a nap. But I just wanted to have a good conversation, a good chit chat, and let you know where I'm coming from, my perception. It doesn't have to be yours. You can disagree with me. You can leave your argument below. Leave your thoughts below. That's fine. I just want to see more of a positive vibe on YouTube. Especially because we have people that have skills we can use. We need to stay positive and use everybody's skills. Yeah, he's going to have to change his MO if he comes back, because he's not going to be able to play that bingo card, incite violence, and put everybody fixated on one person. Yeah, he's not going to be able to do that again. He isn't taking any responsibility. He says it was the man reporting, yeah, mass reporting event. Yeah, and what it was he had placed that person that he thought was Brian Lauder. He had placed them in harm, and he had bullied them and placed them in harm's way. And that's why I believe it was shut down. That was a very scary scenario, especially after the whole Jamie incident with people showing up at their home. So I think he's got a lot on his plate to digest. He's got a lot to go through. I hope he goes through it, and I hope he makes good decisions. And if he comes back, you know, stronger and ready to work harder and ready to focus on his positive skills and positive traits rather than to focus on the negativity. Because we need him, but we only need him if he's going to, you know, create forward momentum instead of a emotional diversion, because that's not beneficial to anyone here at all. And while I'm not really a true crimer, I'm just a YouTuber, and I kind of put my nose in a lot of different areas. I will say that I want this community to do well, and I want this community to be positive because it has such power to do such good. So I am invested to see this community grow in a positive way. So everybody, if you find yourself being toxic online, or you find yourself getting anxious or frustrated, frustration is just muted anger. If you find yourself getting frustrated, angry, tense, step away. Go to something funny. Change momentum. Change channels in your brain. Don't stay in that toxic scenario. If you follow somebody that puts you in a bad frame of mind, walk away. Take a break. Go into something that's positive. If you're doing something with your time to distract you from all the hardships in society, and it also starts bringing you into a negative place, think about it. Think about doing something else. Is it really benefiting you? Is it really doing something that's bringing positivity to your life, and is it distracting you in a positive manner? So always make sure that you're doing what's benefiting you and what's making you happy and what's bringing you positivity and happiness. And if it's not, think about it and walk the other way. And yeah, Humanimal, I'm really hoping that the ego, he will have a conversation with his ego and fully identify it so that he can squash it. We definitely have a drama issue in this little sect, and I'll probably catch heck. Even though I've not really bashed him. I've just said I see the good and the bad. I hope he focuses on the good because we do need him, but I hope he leaves the bad behind. I'm gonna catch heck for this. I guarantee it. Somebody will be mad that I said anything bad about who they have put up on their cross, and I'm just gonna have to let them say it, because the ones that I know will take this, consume it, process it, and use it appropriately, those are the people I'm trying to reach. The people that are going to be negative, they're not the people I'm trying to reach. So I just kind of let them roll. It's just water off a duck's back. Let it go. I'm not going to engage with them because that's what they want. They want my time and my energy and my mental capacity spent on them instead of doing something positive, and I'm not going to do that. So I do believe Chris is a good man. I believe he has good skills. I believe he has a remarkable talent for interviewing and interrogation, and I want to see him do great things in this format, because I definitely see that he can do, you know, he can really break down cases and bring out information like no one else. So I want to see him do well. I just want to make sure that he is interjecting a positive thing into the true crime world instead of bringing a negative thing. And I just want him to focus on the positive, because it seems like we've had a focus on the negative, and we've had a focus on that he's gotten emotionally excited in that chase, and he's gotten a little too far-fetched in what he probably needed to state was fact and what wasn't. And he just needs to be a little bit more careful in that regard. So maybe we'll see positive things come from this. I certainly hope so. But always do your homework. Always research people. If you have a gut feeling, go back and look into them. If they have somebody that's had a profile in a specific line of work or a specific career, look into it. Read old newspaper articles. Look at old news stories. Look at stuff that they've placed online for public consumption. Get to know that person and have a better, well-rounded decision about them. And that's something I always do. I try to watch people, fill them out for a little while, and then look into them. Some people are looking to be led by the nose. And sadly, those are the people that will be the first ones over the cliff. They will follow their emotions to their detriment. And sadly, they are prominent in every caste system, in every social circle, in every county, in every state. And while I wish I could save them all, I simply can't. But I have to be here for the people that are trying to process, learn to hold themselves accountable, and to articulate a more positive way of interacting on this platform. And that's why I'm here. I'm here for you guys. Yeah, I pay heed to my belly. And that's why, even though I know it may not be popular, I tell you how I feel. Because I know I feel that way for a reason. So even if I can't explain it, I will always tell you how I feel. That's why I didn't know exactly why I wasn't vibing with him, but I knew I felt something was not right. And perhaps it was me picking up on a little bit of the ego at the time. Who knows? But I definitely have done my research now, and I understand why I felt I needed to come on and have this little live. I made a video, but it will not freaking upload. We've had internet issues here all day. I will continue to try to upload it, but I just wanted to come live and say howdy. This is my thought. Yep. the ripple effect and the pools we taint may quite honestly end up being a jury of your peers one day, and we have to keep that in mind. You have to absolutely keep that in mind. So, yeah, it's a very good point. Okay, I'm going to get off here and separate my animals. Oscar's sitting here beside me about to have a stroke. I'm going to put Kazi down for a nap, and I'm going to try to cook some dinner, and I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Positive things are going to happen this week. I know it. I feel it. And perhaps we're going to see the true crime world kind of wake up and go, oh, wow, we've been stuck in a rut of bad behavior. Let's move forward and let's be positive, and let's find those good people and those good creators with those good skills and those good vibes, and let's put them front and forward. And let's hope that anyone that's struggling with being a good creator has a talk with himself and kind of reformats and comes back stronger and better. All right, y'all have a good night. Thank you for spending your time with me. I appreciate it. And time is the one thing that you can't get back. And you offered it up to me this evening, and I'm terribly appreciative that you spent your time with me. And I'm going to try to upload that. Otherwise, I'll try to be back maybe Wednesday. And we'll see how things go. Unless something happens to pop up that I need to tell you about. Until then, Mama Liz out. Bye, guys.